Part 31. Being in Konoha, I can upgrade my talent entries. Author, MRMO. Chapter 302. But is Uchiha Sarana's strength almost at the Super Shadow level? This timeline is a bit backwards. And, Zoliana becomes Hokage. It feels weird. Yagami. Ryusuke muttered, while adding a sentence from time to time in the group, watching everyone discussing the situation of the three newcomers. At this moment, a message suddenly attracted Yagami Ryusuke's attention. 5th generation Hokage Tsunade. As for any outstanding genius, I do know one. He is also from the village. He is a commoner. He is only 16 years old and is already a shadow level player. Moreover, he is very popular in the village. Good. The 4th Hokage Hatake Sakumo. Is there such a person? What is his name? The 5th Hokage Tsunade. There is no one named Kusamura Kamemoto over there. 6th generation Hokage Hatake Kakashi. I've never heard of it. The 4th Hokage Namikaze Minato. If you are 16 years old, you are born in Konoha 34. If you are really that good, there is no reason why I have never heard of it. 3rd Hokage Shimura Danzo. Maybe he is an outstanding ninja unique to the 5th generation. Or maybe this Kusamura Kamemoto has not prospered in other parallel worlds. 6th Hokage Hatake Kakashi. It is indeed possible. The 5th Hokage Tsunade. Is this still the case? I thought it would be different if we were the only Hokages. The 4th Hokage Hatake Sakumo. You are wrong. The differences between different parallel worlds are very big. For example, the Uzumaki Naruto and Uzumaki Naruto mentioned before, Kakashi's world is Uzumaki Naruto. Now 193 has another 7th generation, but in other worlds, Uzumaki Naruto has always been Uzumaki Naruto, and has not become a woman. 7th Hokage Uchiha Sasuke Naruto is a woman. She has always been. The 4th Hokage Namikaze Minato. That's true in your world, but it's different in other worlds. For example, like mine, Naruto hasn't even been born yet. 5th generation Hokage Tsunade. I understand, that's it? But based on Kusamura Kamemoto's level of excellence, I think you can look for this person over there, and if he doesn't become a ninja, you can train him. 6th Hokage Ryusuke Yagami. Is this Kusamura Kamemoto so good? The 5th Hokage Tsunade. Well, although I have just returned to the village not long ago, I can't hear more than a dozen people mentioning this Kusamura Kamemoto. He is one of those great talents. The others are all 12 years old. In the ninja school he graduated and became a ninja. Kusamura Kamemoto dropped out of the ninja school at 14. At that time, he had not shown any ninja talent. 5th generation Hokage Tsunade. It wasn't until he turned 16 this year that he gradually showed his amazing ninja talent. In less than a year, he went from a ninja who was not even a genin to the one who now has a shadow. An elite ninja with super strength. Nidame Hokage Senju Tobirama? This is problematic no matter how you look at it, right? 5th generation Hokage Tsunade. No, this only shows that Kusamura Kamemoto is good enough. 1st Hokage Senju Hashirama Syatsuna, are you okay with your mind? Even your uncle, I can see that there is something wrong here. How come you didn't realize it at all? 5th generation Hokage Tsunade. Why do you even say that, Grandpa? But there is really nothing wrong with Kusamura Kamemoto. I think he is really outstanding. He is worth training. 7th generation Hokage Uchiha Sasuke. There is a problem. Not only that Kusamura Kamemoto, but this Tsunade also has a problem. She seems to have been modified by genjutsu. 6th generation Hokage Hatake Kakashi. Other gods. The 5th Hokage Tsunade. What are you talking about? I have a problem. 6th generation Hokage Ryusuke Yagami. I'll find out when I go over and take a look. Nidame Hokage Senju Tobirama. 6th generation, please go check on Tsuna first. It's possible that she was actually possessed by some illusion. The 5th Hokage Tsunade. 2nd Grandpa. I am already beyond the shadow level. If I am hit by a genjutsu, will I not feel it? 1st Hokage Senju Hashirama. Tsuna, I'll let Ryusuke take a look later and we'll find out. You were quite normal before, but when you mention that Kusamura Kamemoto, something's not right with you. Is Kusamura Kamemoto? Could it be a time traveler? Ryusuke Yagamai rubbed his chin and thought. Then he used the privileges of the chat group and spent 1000 points to teleport to the parallel world where the 5th Hokage Tsunade was. Parallel world, wood. Ryusuke Yagamai's figure appeared. In the Hokage's office. The 6th generation. Tsunade already knew that Ryusuke Yagamai was coming, so she asked the Umbu around her to disperse in advance. At this time, seeing the figure suddenly appearing with a ray of light in front of her, she also asked. It's me. Ryusuke Yagamai nodded, and followed his gaze to scan Tsunade in front of him. After a moment. How about it? Tsunade asked. Ryusuke Yagamai shook his head. You didn't fall for the illusion, he said. Huh. I'll just say it. I have super shadow level strength, and I have also awakened immortal human body and would release. How could I fall under the illusion spell? Tsunade said with a sigh of relief. Is that Kusamura Shangyuunran in the village? Ryusuke Yagamai asked. Tsunade nodded. Call him over and let me take a look. Ryusuke Yagamai said. Hearing this, Tsunade had no objections and directly called an Umbu and ordered the other party to call the Jounin Kusamura Kamemoto to the Hokage's office. On the other side. Nidame Hokage Senju Tobirama Ryusuke Yagamai, is Tsunachan under a genjutsu? The 6th Hokage Ryusuke Yagamai, it's not an illusion. Now I'll ask Tsunade-san to call that Kusamura Kamemoto over, and I'll take a look at this person again. First Hokage Senju Hashirama, isn't it a genjutsu? Is Tsuna's brain really broken? 5th generation Hokage Tsunade Grandpa. In the Hokage's office, Tsunade angrily looked at the grandpa who slandered her in the chat group. Just when she was angrily about to slap the table and complain, she suddenly remembered that Ryusuke Yagamai was there next to her, so she smiled awkwardly at him. It's okay, just pretend I don't exist. Ryusuke Yagamai said. Tsunade. You're such a big guy standing over there, how could I pretend you don't exist? Hey. After a while. Ryusuke Yagamai sensed a fairly good chakra fluctuation and approached the Hokage's office. Then there was a knock on the door. Come in. Tsunade said. Click. The door opened, and a young man about 1.8 meters tall, wearing a white shirt and a green Jounin vest, walked in from the door. Hokage-sama, are you looking for me? After Kusamura Kamemoto came in, he looked at Tsunade sitting behind the desk and asked. He glanced curiously at Ryusuke Yagamai beside him. He was thinking, who is this person? Why haven't he seen it before? Could it be that he hasn't seen it before? Are you here to release a mission? Just when Kusamura Kamemoto was wondering, Yagamai Ryusuke really narrowed his eyes. This person has a problem. As soon as Yagamai Ryusuke saw this Kusamura Kamemoto, he noticed something was wrong. What's wrong, you ask? There is a corner of a big game console hanging out of the pocket of his pants. Isn't that something wrong? If I read that right. If so, what the heck is a Switch? Does Naruto World have such a thing? Then it definitely doesn't. Could this handheld device be his golden finger? Ryusuke Yagamai thought to himself. Jounin, this is my friend. He has something to ask you. Tsunade saw Kusamura Kamemoto coming in and said to him. Tsunade's friend? Yagamai Ryusuke was confused by Kusamura Kamemoto. But the next second, buzz. Kusamura Kamemoto felt his head was confused, then lost consciousness. May I have your name? Ryusuke Yagamai asked. Kusamura Kamemoto. To read Bao's Huang novels, go to Fila Novel Network. The other party replied blankly. When Tsunade, who was sitting on the chair, saw this scene, how could she not know that Kusamura Kamemoto was under the illusion of Ryusuke Yagamai? The sixth generation. Tsunade stood up a little excitedly. Be patient. Yagami Ryusuke waved his hand at her, and then continued to ask, where did this game console in your pocket come from? A friend gave it to me. Kasamura Kamemoto's dull reply. What friend? Ryusuke Yagami asked. My friends in the group are all time travelers like me. My friend traveled to a world with a modern urban background, so he gave me this for my entertainment. General Kusamurakami answered honestly. Tsunade, who was a little excited just now, also blinked and looked at him in surprise. He is indeed a time traveler. And they have a group. Ryusuke Yagami thought to himself. However, he just thought that this handheld console was this guy's golden finger. For example, he could get rewards for completing mini-games. Unexpectedly, this thing was really just an ordinary thing. It's just a game console. It's purely used for entertainment because people feel that the entertainment in Naruto world is a bit lacking. You are really not afraid of revealing your identity as a time traveler. However, under normal circumstances, it is really not exposed just because of a game console. After all, there are many electronic products in the ninja world, although there is no such game console. But no one in the ninja world would suspect Kusamura Kamemoto to be a time traveler just because of this, unless another time traveler saw it and would think so. Just like when Ryusuke Yagami first saw this game console, he immediately thought that Kusamura Kamemoto was a time traveler, and thought this thing was his golden finger. Although the latter guessed wrong. But the former is right. However, Ryusuke Yagami didn't expect it either. The time traveler is not just the one in front of me, Kusamura Kamemoto. From what he means, it seems that these time travelers have a common group. What is this group for? Do you want to share your time travel experiences with each other? Ryusuke Yagami thought to himself. How many time travelers like you are there in your group? Ryusuke Yagami continued to ask. A few hundred, maybe. Kasamura Yumoto said. So many. Yagami Ryusuke's eyes widened in surprise. Hundreds. This is too much. However, most of them are dead, and only a few of us are still alive. Kasamura Yumoto said again. Most of them are dead? Yagami Ryusuke was still shocked, thinking that this group is amazing. Hundreds of time travelers. Even if not every time traveler is a fool, okay, but out of hundreds of people, there are always a few that do very well, right? That would be quite scary. However, he didn't expect that Kusamura Kamemoto suddenly changed the subject and actually said that most time travelers all dead. How many are alive? So few. Yagami Ryusuke frowned and continued to ask Kusamura Kamemoto a few questions about his group. But Yagami Ryusuke noticed that Kusamura Kamemoto mentioned this in the group, many things are vague. At present, he is controlled by Ryusuke Yagami with the reincarnation I at 0.1. Logically speaking, it is impossible to speak vaguely, so there is only one possibility, which is about the content of this group. There are some things that he can't say. This is also normal. For example, in their Hokage chat group, there are some things that cannot be said to people who are not in the group. But some basic things can be said. The current Kusamura Kamemoto may be the same such a situation. Finally, Ryusuke Yagami asked the question that he had been thinking about from the beginning. What is your golden finger for traveling through time? Ryusuke Yagami asked. It is a favorability copying system. Kasamura Shangan said. Obviously, this can be said. What is the favorability copy system? What functions does it have? Ryusuke Yagami asked. Hearing this, Yumoto Kusamura also replied, the favorability copying system allows me to copy other people's abilities by improving their favorability, such as chakra, ninjutsu, and blood inheritance. That's it. Moreover, the increased favorability will never decrease, and as long as the favorability is not negative, as long as you see me, you will get a basic favorability, making people trust me more. This golden finger is pretty good. Ryosuke Yagami thought to himself. First, it improves his favorability, and then he copies the other person's various extraordinary abilities. This is pretty awesome. How did you get this golden finger? Ryosuke Yagami asked. The golden finger is given when you join the group. Kusamura Sangan replied. Being in Konoha, I can upgrade my talent entries. Author, MRMO. Chapter 303. You golden finger, there are no restrictions. Ryosuke Yagami asked. Yes, as the number of copies increases, the prerequisites will become more stringent. Said Kusamura Kamemoto. So what abilities have you copied? Where was it copied? Ryosuke Yagami asked him. I copied his shadow level chakra, flying thunder god jutsu and his ninja talent from Namikaze Minato, and copied Uchiha bloodline and Mangekyo Sharinan and his shadow level chakra from Uchiha Shisui. Gone? Yagami Ryosuke asked. Kusamura Kamemoto shook his head. No more, the favorability required for the 7th copy is too high, and I can't meet this condition yet. Kasamura Kamemoto said. That's it? Yagami Ryosuke just now thought that Kusamura Kamemoto's golden finger was quite powerful. As a result, are you telling me that the restrictions are so big? How much favor does the 7th copy require? Ryosuke Yagami asked curiously. The favorability requirement reaches the 7th level, life and death. Kasamura Sangan said. This, is it difficult? Yagami Ryosuke thought to himself, and this was only the 7th copy request. What if this is the 8th time? What about the 9th time? How many levels of favorability are there in total? Ryosuke Yagami asked. 10. Kusamura Kamemoto answered truthfully. There are only 10 of them. That means that the golden fingers of Kusamura Kamemoto can only be copied 10 times. The key is, the favorability of this guy's 17 golden fingers is actually the same. No. It is said that if you reach a certain level of favorability with a person, you can copy that person's ability several times. On the contrary, if you reach a certain level of favorability with a person, you can copy it several times. No matter how much favorability the person has for you. As long as the highest favorability level is reached, then you can easily copy it by finding someone whose favorability is not negative. This looks pretty good. If Kusamura Kamemoto had not used up 6 opportunities before, he would have kept 1 or 2 times. If used on stronger people, it would be great. How do you say this golden finger? It is a bit neither good nor bad. Anyway, the sustainability is not high. There are only 10 opportunities to copy, and then there will be no. However, if you think about it, this thing is just something given away by joining that group. That's normal. After all, things given away for free are usually not much better. As Ryosuke Yagami asked a few more questions finally, he had completely figured out the situation of Kusamura Yamoto. A time traveler from Blue Star. He joined a group that was suspected to be all time travelers. This group also gave gold fingers. But the gold fingers he gave were not very good, so the group only a few of the hundreds of people who died there are left. And the biggest ambition of this guy Kusamura Kamemoto is to find someone who is easier to gain trust, and then he can gain favor and strive to complete the 7th or even 8th level of favor. Request. Get 2 more opportunities to copy. Then, he will use these 2 opportunities to copy on the future Naruto and Sasuke. Although these 2 guys are still little kids who were just born. But Kusamura Kamiyun can wait. Anyway, he already has good strength now. With the chakra from Namikaze Minato and Uchiha Shisui, plus a pair of Uchiha Shisui's Mangekyo Sharinan, and the Flying Thunder God Jutsu. In terms of strength, he is already at the peak of the cage level. And his life-saving ability is extremely strong. In addition, he also has the ninja talent of Namikaze Minato. With this talent, he also learned a lot of conventional ninjutsu. In the future, he will have a super impact. Shadow level is not a problem. As long as you have the strength of super shadow level, there will be no problem in surviving the Fourth Ninja World War. By then, you will directly copy Zhou Ming's ability. You can reach the Six Paths level directly in one step. This is still a Taoist person. Ryosuke Yagami thought with a smile. Then he waved his hand, a white light enveloped Kusamura Kamemoto and annihilated him in an instant. God! Dust escape. With the death of Kusamura Kamemoto, the favor that increased because of his golden finger, then she returned to normal. To read exciting novels, go to Fila Novel Network. Tsunade blinked and felt that her brain suddenly became much clearer. Thinking of what she just said in the chat group, she suddenly blushed not good. Damn it! Is this what this guy is capable of? Tsunade said angrily. Yeah, but now that he's dead, it's useless. Ryosuke Yagami nodded and said. It really gave him a leg up. Tsunade said angrily. She obviously did not blame Yagami Ryosuke for killing Kusamura Kamemoto. Before she defended Kusamura Kamemoto, it was because her favor was stabilized. But now, this constant effect has been lost. After knowing about Kusamura Kamemoto's problem, Tsunade felt nothing but disgust towards Kusamura Kamemoto. Naturally, she would not blame Yagami Ryosuke for killing him. But what were you talking about just now? Tsunade asked curiously. Except for the beginning, she could still hear the conversation between the two. After that, she heard nothing. Obviously, this was something Ryosuke Yagami didn't want her to know. We talked about some topics that I can't tell you. Ryosuke Yagami said with a smile. Tsunade. Cut. I didn't expect that this guy looked so sunny and handsome, but he was so sinister in his heart. If you don't say it, don't say it. I don't want to know yet. Tsunade snorted arrogantly and turned away. The second Hokage Senju Tobirama Yagami Ryosuke Tsunade, how is the situation? Is there something wrong with Kusamura Kamemoto? In the chat group. Senju Tobirama liked Yagami Ryosuke and Tsunade. People. Ask them how things are going. Fifth generation Hokage Tsunade. Well, there is indeed a problem with that Kusamura Kamemoto. What kind of time traveler is he? He used his ability to influence the people in the village, but now it has been solved. Sixth generation Hokage Yagami Ryosuke. It has been solved, no problem. Nidame Hokage Senju Tobirama. That's good. But what is this time traveler? Is it the time travel that I understand? Sixth generation Hokage Yagami Ryosuke. It's almost the same. This Kusamura Kamemoto came from another world. He has the ability to copy other people's abilities by increasing his favorability level. First Hokage Senju Hashirama. This ability is great. I want it too. The first Hokage Madara Uchiha. Why do you want everything, Hasalama? There are limits to abilities like this. Sixth generation Hokage Yagami Ryosuke. Madara is right, his ability is indeed somewhat limited, because the favorability level is only 10, so it can only be copied 10 times. Before I killed him, he had already used it 6 times. The fourth Hokage Hatake Sakumo 10 times. That's pretty awesome. Sixth generation Hokage Hatake Kakashi. I'm curious, who did his 6 copying opportunities go to? Fifth Hokage Tsunade. This Kusamura Kamemoto knows the Flying Thunder God Jutsu, and now it seems that it was copied from Namikaze Minato. Yondaime Hokage Namikaze Minato et? Copy mine. Sixth generation Hokage Yagami Ryosuke. That's right, 3 of the 6 abilities he copied were Minato Senpai's, namely the Cage level Chakra, the Flying Thunder God Jutsu, and Minato Senpai's ninja talent. Yondaime Fire 137 Cage Namikaze Minato. Ah, this. Does he look down on my Raise Non? The fourth Hokage Orochimaru, haha. You probably don't want to waste the opportunity to copy. After all, although Raiznan is an Amuji ninjutsu, he copied your ninja talent and can learn it by himself. Yadam Hokage Uchiha Sarana, isn't this guy's ability too titanium? Can he even copy his talent? Sandame Hokage Shimura Danzo, what about the other 3 times? Who were they used on? Was it Hiruzen? 6th generation Hokage Yagami Ryusuke, no, his other 3 times were used on Uchiha Shisui, copying Uchiha Shisui's shadow level chakra, Uchiha bloodline, and his Mangekyo Sharingan. 7th Hokage Uchiha Sasuke Shisui Senpai? Then he is quite discerning. The 3rd Hokage Shimura Danzo, haha. Sarutobi Hiruzen. This guy clearly looks down on you. Ha ha ha. Sandame Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, haha. I don't know what you are happy about. Does he already like you? Kusamura Yamoto's matter was easily solved by Ryusuke Yagami. Pity. The Naruto chat group does not have the function of group tasks. Otherwise, this kills a time traveler with a golden finger. Although the golden finger is a bit stretchy. But it's still quite magical. If there are group tasks, you might be able to earn some points or something. But, Yagami Ryusuke is not short of these points. Even though he came, Yagami Ryusuke didn't go back immediately. Instead, he went to the Itsutsuki planet in this parallel world and liquidated the Itsutsuki clan in this world. But this time, the harvest was not as good as Ryusuke Yagami imagined. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Being in Konoha, I can upgrade my talent entries. Author, MRMO. Chapter 304. Ding. The items you have listed have reached the upper limit, and the listing operation failed. Looking at this prompt, Ryusuke Yagami also sighed. However, he had actually expected this to happen. After all, it is impossible for Kunmal to acquire something unlimitedly. Even the Itsutsuki clan bloodline, reincarnation eye, etc. There must be an upper limit. I haven't encountered it before, but it's just that the upper limit hasn't been reached yet. Now, isn't this what happened? Because the bloodline of the Itsutsuki clan on the shelves has reached the upper limit, this time, Ryusuke Yagami only sold almost 3,000 corpses of the Itsutsuki clan. Then, the same is true for the Samsara eye. On the other hand, the reincarnation eye, because the reincarnation eye is relatively rare among the Itsutsuki clan, is far from reaching the upper limit and can continue to be put on the shelves. But there aren't many reincarnation eyes in the first place. Therefore, in this trip, Yagami Ryusuke only earned a total of more than 6 billion points. Moreover, I'm afraid there won't be anything to earn next time. Fortunately, he has accumulated more than 100 billion points in his hand. In the short term, this amount should be enough to spend. After all, there are not many places where Yagami Ryusuke spends points. It's just an enhancement pool, and you'll need to spend more points on it, but it's actually not bad. Moreover, Ryo Yagami really has no source of income at all. Although the bloodline corpses of the Itsutsuki clan have reached the upper limit, what about the Itsutsuki bloodline potion that can be used directly? This thing shouldn't have reached the upper limit, right? So that day, Ryusuke Yagami brought a lot of corpses of the Itsutsuki clan to Orochimaru and asked him to help extract the blood medicine of the Itsutsuki clan from these corpses and make blood potions. This technology is currently only possessed by Orochimaru, the 4th generation Hokage in the group. Even Orochimaru, who is also Orochimaru and comes from another world, does not have such ability. Faced with Yagami Ryusuke's request, Orochimaru also nodded directly and agreed. But according to what he said, it would take him 3 days to extract a potion. Ryusuke Yagami brought thousands of corpses of the Itsutsuki clan at once, and it would probably take a long long time to extract them all. In this regard, although Ryosuke Yagamai was a little dissatisfied with this efficiency, he didn't say much. After all, this was indeed Orochimaru's limit. I'm not lazy, it just takes so long. Then take your time, extract a potion every 3 days, and then put the points for sale on the shelves, 1 for you and 9 for me. Ryosuke Yagamai said. Hearing this, Orochimaru nodded in surprise. After all, he had never thought that Ryosuke Yagamai would share 10% of his points before, and thought that his work would be in vain. Unexpectedly. Get a share. Don't think it's only 10%, but in fact, a copy of this Otsutsuki blood potion can be sold for 10 million points in the group mall. In this case, even 10% is still 1 million points. Orochimaru's points have never reached 1 million in total. And now, he can earn 1 million in 3 days? This is great. It even makes Orochimaru a little uneasy. Otherwise, I'll take 5%. Orochimaru offered to reduce his share, mainly because he was worried that his technology would be mastered by others in the future, and then Ryosuke Yagamai would not ask him to cooperate, but would find someone else. Moreover, even if it is 5%, he can earn 500,000 points in 3 days. Already a lot. And Ryosuke Yagamai looked at Orochimaru deeply after he proposed the 5% share, then nodded and agreed to the share. Okay, I'll leave these 100 corpses of the Otsutsuki clan with you first. If they're not enough, ask me for them again. Ryosuke Yagamai waved his hand and restored 100 shrunken corpses of the Otsutsuki clan. Orochimaru also immediately arranged for people to preserve these corpses well. In addition, I will give you this pair of reincarnation eyes. See if you can extract the unburdened reincarnation eye blood from them. Ryosuke Yagamai handed Orochimaru a pair of Rinnegan soaked in a glass bottle and asked him to study it when he had time. If it doesn't work, he can only sell it to members of the group at a low price in the future. But there are only so many group members. Even if everyone buys a pair, how many can be sold? Therefore, it is best to extract the Samsara Eye blood potion and sell it directly to the group mall. Only in this way can it bring huge benefits interests. Haha. Don't worry, Ryosuke-kun, I will definitely study it carefully and try to make another profit. Orochimaru said with a smile. That smile looked sinister. Like a snake. Okay, I have something else to do, so I'll leave first. After handing the things to Orochimaru, Ryosuke Yagamai left this parallel world directly. This time he met a time traveler with the newly joined 5th generation Tsunade, so Ryosuke Yagamai thought about the other Hokages. Is there one on the other side? After all, these time travelers have formed a group. There are obviously a lot of them. So he spent an afternoon running around the world where every group member is, to check if there is one on their side. The same time traveler? After a search, nothing was found. Facts have proved that among these parallel ninja worlds, there is a time traveler in the 5th generation Tsunade's world. And it did not exist for a long time, it's only a month. Soon, more than a month has passed. The previous batch of golden entries have been upgraded, and Yagamai Ryosuke has replaced them with new ones and placed them on the idle position. This batch of golden entries has been upgraded. Yagamai Ryosuke's strength improvement is not very big. It has only increased about 30% of his upper limit of strength. After all, for Bao's Huang novels, go to Fila Novel Network. He has already prepared all the really outstanding entries in advance the upgrade is done. The further it is placed, the smaller the effect on him. Therefore, the effect of improving strength is naturally lower. It can increase by 30%, which is actually very good. In addition, the strengthening talismans he has accumulated there were more than 3,000 times. Yagamai Ryosuke thought that with so many strengthening talismans, he should be able to strengthen his Kusanagi sword to add 35 or above. So on this day, he directly used up the thousands of strengthening spells he had accumulated before. After many times and spending a lot of points, I finally strengthened this Kusanagi sword to an enhancement level of AD 37. Although it has not yet reached the target of AD 40, it is almost there. After all, it has passed the AD 35 threshold. The next enhancement, it will not fall below AD 35. If you are lucky, you may be able to reach AD 40 by strengthening it 3 times. Of course, Ryosuke Yagami doesn't think his luck is so good. Speaking of which, Ryosuke Yagami, although there is an entry about the Lord of Destiny, this entry does not increase the luck value. I wonder if there is an entry in the ninja world that increases the luck value? By the way, is there anyone in the ninja world who is very lucky? Ichiraku at Satsuki? Ryosuke Yagami thought to himself. However, at Satsuki Ichiraku doesn't seem to be lucky. He is strong, right? The one who is truly lucky should be beating the boss with his hands. But beating the boss with your hands is just an ordinary person. Ordinary people are not even qualified to transform white talent entries. Maybe I could train a hand-beating boss from a certain world and make him a ninja. Ryosuke Yagami thought to himself that this idea is good and he can give it a try. In this way, maybe he can get a talent entry that can increase his luck value. Then, whether it is the synthesis of entries or the strengthening of the pool, regardless of the strengthening, the success rate will be greatly improved. Thinking of this, Yagami Ryosuke didn't wait for the future. He directly chose a parallel ninja world with a relatively early timeline. He directly selected the Sandaime Hokage Monkey Hiruzen's parallel world. The timeline of that world was quite early, and Tate was still a teenage boy at that time. It just met Ryosuke Yagami's requirements. So, Ryosuke Yagami directly used the chat group privilege, traveled to this world, and then found the boss of Xiaode, who was still a teenage boy. No. He was not the boss at this time, and the Ichiraku ramen shop was still run by Lise, Xiaode's father. And Xiaode, just like Icarus in the future, he mainly works as a helper around his father. On this day, the ramen restaurant had a rest in the afternoon, and a few friends asked him to go out to play. As a result, as soon as he ran to the place where they usually play games, he met a weirdo. "Kid, come here." Ryosuke Yagami waved at the hands of an older boy who looked like he was in his 20s even though he was not very old or tall. Xiaoda pointed at himself with a puzzled look on his face, and then walked over. The strange thing is that the friends around him didn't seem to see all this. They were still laughing and playing there. Xiaoda was confused. While watching this scene, I walked up to Ryosuke Yagami. "Sir, what's the matter?" Xiaoda asked curiously. "Do you want to become a ninja?" Ryosuke Yagami asked him. "Yes, I do. But I went to get tested, and they said I didn't have ninja talent." Xiaoda said with a sad expression on his face. Born in a place like Konoha, which child wouldn't want to become a ninja? However, Xiaopa has no ninja talent. He can only be an ordinary person in this life. Being in Konoha, I can upgrade my talent entries. Author, MRMO. Chapter 305. It's okay, with me, it doesn't matter even if you don't have ninja talent. Ryosuke Yagami smiled and said to the hand in front of him. Really? Shande looked forward to it. Brother, can you really make me a ninja? Of course, if you eat this fruit, you can become a ninja. Ryosuke Yagami said, taking out a red, plum-like fruit. This is a sacred tree fruit. Of course. It is not a complete sacred tree fruit, but a small part of the sacred tree fruit. In terms of quantity, probably a super shadow level chakra like this. Really? As long as I eat this thing, I can become a ninja. Xiaoda reached out his hand to take the red fruit with some excitement. The fruit looked about the size of a small table tennis ball. It even felt a bit cold when he held it in his hand. Of course, it can give you a huge amount of chakra. You know about chakra, right? Ryosuke Yagami said. Okay, I know. Tejada nodded heavily. Of course he knows what chakra is. It is a power that only ninjas have. With chakra, you can use ninjutsu and become a great ninja. Tejada dreams of having chakra did not expect, now you only need to eat such a small fruit to have it. How about simple hand painting? Especially when it comes to young people playing with their hands, they are even more careless. He believed whatever Yagami Ryosuke said, without any doubt that the other party was deceiving him. Certainly. This is also related to Ryosuke Yagami's entry on the Mouth Release King. This makes what he said more convincing. Otherwise, no matter how simple hand beating is, it will not be so simple as to look like a fool. This is the power of mouth escape. Directly distort thoughts. 580. Eat quickly, and then I will teach you powerful ninjutsu. Ryosuke Yagami said. Xiao nodded heavily. Then he held the red fruit in both hands and bit off more than half of it in one bite. Xiao ate the small sacred tree fruit in 2 bites. A huge amount of chakra suddenly filled his body. Boom! Like the materialized chakra, the surrounding ground was blasted with cracks. Xiao was also surprised to see this scene, and he was extremely excited. Is this the power of ninjas? Can I become a ninja too? Xiao jumped up excitedly. As a result, he jumped dozens of meters high. He was so frightened that he screamed in mid-air. Bang! He hit the ground in a slightly embarrassed manner. Xiao was surprised to find that he was not injured. Too strong. Handada jumped up and down excitedly, like a child who got a new toy. He is indeed still a child. After a while, Shande, who had finished his excitement, also ran back. Big brother, thank you. Tezada said gratefully. Ryosuke Yagami looked at him with a smile and put one hand on Tezada's head. Come on, learn ninjutsu now, he said. Shouten nodded heavily. According to Ryosuke Yagami's idea, he will train Shouta into a ninja with super cage level strength. In this way, the biological pheromones of Shouta will be converted into gold level talent entries. No need to do more, additional upgrades will take effect directly. Otherwise, Biba, if it is green or blue, I am afraid the effect will not be very good. It cannot meet the requirements of Ryosuke Yagami. In fact, purple entries are also okay. But Night Kami Ryosuke doesn't lack this resource either. Therefore, let's just do it in one step and directly train Tachibana into a ninja with super shadow level strength. As for how to make Tachibana have super cage level strength, that's simple. Knight Ryosuke Kami has just given his hand a super cage level chakra. Next, he has to give his hand a chakra that can unleash the power of this huge chakra. So, Ryosuke Yagami took out a chakra from Orochimaru. The bloodstain potion I brought from the side. This is a magnetic escape bloodstain potion. After injection, you can gain the power of magnetic escape. Although magnetic escape is not very strong among Hokage, that is because the person who uses it is too weak. Magnetism cannot be such a weak force. Of course, magnetic escape is not exactly equal to magnetism. Having magnetic escape does not mean that you can control the operation of the magnetic field in the universe. It just gives you a right to use it. And the authority is still limited. But as long as the chakra is large enough, this authority will naturally increase accordingly. After Yagami Ryosuke gave him the power to use magnetic escape, he created a wooden clone to teach him some magnetic escape skills. Technique. Hand fighting is not stupid. He just doesn't have the talent of a ninja, that is, it is difficult to extract chakra. In fact, his understanding is good. In addition, the magnetic escape bloodstains are already in place, and he will naturally not be able to learn the magnetic escape ninjutsu. It will be very slow. However, no matter how fast it is, it will still take a few days. Therefore, these days, except for going to other parallel worlds at night, Ryosuke Yagami basically stays in this parallel world during the day 7 days later. Handa was already very good at using magnetic release. Yagami Ryosuke tested him several times. He found that Handa's strength has basically reached the Super Shadow level. To read Bao's Huang novels, go to Fila Novel Network, has little combat experience. When it comes to a life and death fight, he may not be able to fully display his strength due to nervousness and other situations. But this is not a problem that Ryosuke Yagami needs to consider. He only needs to give up his hand to fight. It's enough to reach Super Shadow level strength. After all, the system doesn't look at your actual combat ability, it just looks at your panel data. When the panel data is there, that means the level is reached. As for how you perform when you actually fight, that's another story. Hand fighting, congratulations on being able to start training. Ryosuke Yagami looked at Shande, who looked much more confident than he was 7 days ago, and said to him with a smile. "Ah, brother Yeshen, are you leaving?" When Shao asked, he was not happy at first, but looked at Yagami Ryosuke with a look of reluctance. After these 7 days of getting along, Shao already regarded Yagami Ryosuke as his mentor. Although Yagami Ryosuke wouldn't let Tizutsu call him teacher. But in Tizutsu's heart, he regarded him as his only teacher. Therefore, when he heard Yagami Ryosuke said that he was a teacher, Tezuda's first reaction was that the teacher was leaving. After all, he already knew that Ryosuke Yagami was not a ninja of Konoha. He could not stay in Konoha forever. Now that he has become a teacher, the teacher will most likely leave the village. Well, but I will come see you if I have a chance in the future. Ryosuke Yagami reached out and put his hand on the head that was hit by his hand. The latter lowered his head and tried not to let tears flow out of his eyes. Hit it with your hands. From now on, I want to become a man who is upright and upright, you know. Ryosuke Yagami said. Well, I understand, brother Yagami. Shouden nodded. Well, then go back and remember to practice well in the future, especially your actual combat ability, it is simply too bad. It takes more practice. Ryosuke Yagami let go of his hand, then turned his back to Shouda. Hearing this, Xiaozhe also had red eyes, and said goodbye with tears in his eyes. Brother Yeshen, you must come and see me. Ryosuke Yagami waved his hands without looking back, and his figure walked further and further away. He soon disappeared from the sight of Tashi. Teacher, I will never let you down. I will definitely become an upright man. Tdda stood there and said silently in the direction where Yagami Ryosuke disappeared. Then he turned around and walked towards the direction of the village. Vaguely, a tall figure seemed to appear behind Tejada. The man was wearing a fiery red suit. Wearing a royal robe and a Hokage hat, he looked confident and high-spirited. I finally managed to teach this kid to become a talented person. It was not easy. It actually took me 7 days. Ryosuke Yagami sat on the edge of a cliff and took out a piece of hair that he had tied with his hand. System, convert entries. He thought silently in his mind. Ding. Conversion successful. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the talent entry, Lucky Star, Gold. Lucky Star? Ryosuke Yagami's eyes lit up. Really? He knew that the talent entries converted from real hand typing must be related to luck. Although his appearance changed the fate of hand fighting in this world. But the hand fight is still the same hand fight, not at Satsuki Ichiraku, so he is still the lucky guy. Lucky Star, Gold. You have enviable luck. Going out to pick up money is just a routine operation for you. Turning bad luck into good luck is just a normal phenomenon for you. You never know what unlucky is always by your side. Luck at 3000%. The entry attributes of Lucky Star are very simple. Just one attribute. But Ryosuke Yagami wants this attribute. 30 times the luck bonus. Ryosuke Yagami is not an unlucky person to begin with. His luck is actually pretty good. I can't say how good it is, but it's certainly not bad. And now, with this 30-fold bonus. That's not bad. Instead, he directly became the invincible European emperor. Come on, try it on the equipment and see the effect. Ryosuke Yagami immediately equipped this entry, opened the system synthesis interface, and began to synthesize the two god-level entries. Being in Konoha, I can upgrade my talent entries. Author, MRMO. Chapter 306. In the synthesis interface, Ryosuke Yagami put the two god-level entries on it, and then tapped the synthesis button with his finger transformed from his mind. As a brilliant light flashed, the two god-level entries are also combined with each other and become a new god-level entry. This is obviously a failure for Ryosuke Yagami. But that's okay. This is only the first time. Although the luck increased 30 times, it did not mean that it was successful the first time. Even an increase of 3,000 times is not enough. Therefore, Ryosuke Yagami continues to synthesize. 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times. When the synthesis reached more than 3,700 times, a dark golden light suddenly appeared in the synthesis interface. This ray of light was completely different from the previous one, attracting Yagami Ryosuke's attention. Success. He looked expectantly at the large synthesis box in the synthesis interface. A talent entry with a dark gold border appeared in the synthesis box. It was something Ryosuke Yagami had never seen before. He clicked on the entry information, simply checked to know the level of this talent entry. Super God level. Really? After my luck increased 30 times, and after more than 3,000 synthesises, I finally succeeded. More than 3,000 times of synthesis cost only a few 100,000 experience points, which is nothing at all. The last time, he spent more than 900,000 yuan, but it didn't work. Even last time, with 500,000 experience points, there was still no success. But this time, it only took hundreds of thousands of experience points to succeed. Do you mean this has nothing to do with the term Lucky Star? Even Ryosuke Yagami wouldn't believe it. It is because of the appearance of this entry that Ryosuke Yagami's luck has increased. That's why it was so easy to successfully synthesize a super god level talent entry. Ryosuke Yagami was very happy. This entry is great. If I had known earlier, I would have made an entry like this earlier. Ryosuke Yagami sighed. Fortunately, it's not too late. Although the number of enhancements accumulated in the past has been exhausted. But it will take another 10 days and a half at most. By then, with his current luck, whatever happens after hundreds or thousands of enhancements, this Kusanagi sword can be strengthened to add 40. At that time, we will know whether add 40 is the current limit of this chat group. Anyway, it is currently at 37. The Kusanagi sword has far exceeded the limit of god-level invincibility. By how much? Probably hundreds of times. If it is strengthened to add 40, it is not impossible to reach thousands of times. Let's take a look at the attributes of this first super god-level entry. Ryosuke Yagami exited the synthesis interface, then found the newly synthesized super god-level entry, clicked on its properties, and checked it out. Transcendent, super god level. Your power has broken through the limits of this world, you have achieved a great transcendence, you have become an unprecedented existence in this world, and there is a high probability that you will never come again. Maybe you will be eliminated by the entire world remembered in the history of the world. All-round strength at 30,000%. Attached. A transcendent person. A detached person, you will more easily transcend the limits of a world, and the so-called bottlenecks will not bother you. This entry, awesome. Single attribute, but outstanding effect. A bonus entry for all-round strength. A full 300 times bonus. There are more than all the previous entries of this type by Ryosuke Yagami combined. There is literally no one left. Moreover, the attached transcendent ability is also very powerful. It allows Ryosuke Yagami to ignore the bottleneck. Breakthrough directly. This is of little use in normal times, but once it encounters a bottleneck, the effect can be seen. It is also quite powerful. Certainly. What excites Ryosuke Yagami the most is the 300 times all-round strength bonus in front. This attribute is so awesome. Ryosuke Yagami was so excited that he almost jumped up. Invincible. This attribute is invincible. It is indeed a super god level entry. It is awesome. What a strong attribute. Now, my strength can be greatly increased. I don't know how strong I am now. Unfortunately, the system doesn't have a strength rating or anything like that. Ryosuke Yagami was thinking about how strong his strength was. Unfortunately, the ceiling of the Naruto world is god-level invincibility. There is no existence more powerful than god-level invincibility. Therefore, he had no way to test it. Originally, he couldn't test it. I thought that Tongti and Kiao in the chat group could test how far my strength had reached. But I didn't expect that this chat group was too shameless and arranged a God King level gatekeeper directly behind the God level. I didn't want to let anyone know at all. Past levels 51 and above. If it weren't for the fact that this chat group didn't have a complaint option. Otherwise, Yagami Ryosuke would definitely have complained 10 or 20 times a day. It's so annoying. See the effect on the equipment. Ryosuke Yagami immediately equipped the super god level entry. Then he tried to use this attribute. In an instant, he felt that his strength in all aspects had received a terrifying improvement. As Ryosuke Yagami unlocked 100% of the power of the contract. This power was so terrifying that Ryosuke Yagami just stood there, and the surrounding space was constantly being torn apart by his terrifying power. Ryosuke Yagami just stood there. It took a while for Jizuozo to control this power, so that it would not be released involuntarily and cause tearing effects on the surrounding space. It's so strong, it feels like any single blow can break the space. No wonder every world has to set a strength limit. I'm afraid it's also because if an individual's strength is too strong, it will cause too much damage to the world itself, and even cause fundamental damage, even damaging the roots of a world. Ryosuke Yagami felt this terrifyingly powerful power for a while. Then he sighed and released the power of the contract. The reason why he sighed was because he had great power, but no room to exert it. This makes Ryosuke Yagami feel sorry. Even a little uncomfortable. But there is no way, the only places where he can vent are the martial arts arena and Tongtian Bridge. However, the former needs an opponent, but there is no such thing in the chat group. Give him his opponent. The gatekeeper on the 51st floor of the ladder is far more powerful than he is now. He is just looking for torture. What Ryosuke Yagami needs is an evenly matched battle. Not to be tortured and killed. He's not sick. However, I already have a super god level talent entry, but the system doesn't seem to be updated to version 4.0. Is it still necessary to have 10 super god level entries this time? Ryosuke Yagami waited for a while, but did not wait for the expected system update. Seeing this, Ryosuke Yagami also gave up and continued waiting. He opened the synthesis interface directly. Prepare to continue to synthesize super god level entries. He still has more than 100 repeated god level entries. To read Bao's Huang novels, go to Filu Novel Network. At least 60 or 70 super god level entries can be synthesized. Moreover, according to his current luck, there is no need at all. I'm worried that even if I synthesize it tens of thousands of times, I won't be able to succeed. Aren't they just 10 super god level entries? Simple. Ryusuke Yagami smiled and put the 2 god-level entries on it, and then his mind turned into an invisible finger and clicked on the synthesis button. Once, 10 times, 100 times. More than 4,000 times later. Yagami Ryusuke saw the dark golden light again. He knew that he had successfully synthesized a super god level entry. I knew it. Ryusuke Yagami excitedly opened the character panel, found the newly synthesized super god level entry, and clicked it to view its attributes. Advanced Divine Body, Super God level. Your divine body is extremely powerful, unmatched by anyone at the same level. Divine Body Strength at 30,000%. Attached, Advanced Divine Body. Higher Divine Body, randomly obtain a higher Divine Body. A higher Divine Body. Really? Are there divisions like High God level above the God level? When Ryusuke Yagami saw the attributes of this Super God level entry, he became more and more sure of his previous guesses. Above the God level, there is indeed a higher God level realm. And this high-level divine body word, the article allows Ryusuke Yagami to randomly obtain a high-level divine body, and also increases the strength of the divine body by 300 times. Although this entry does not increase Ryusuke Yagami's all-round strength, it does increase his life-saving ability. Yet, in a world system where the upper limit is God-level invincibility, Ryusuke Yagami really doesn't need any life-saving abilities. But you can't say that. Who knows whether Yagami Ryusuke will be able to break away from the Hokage system in the future. If you successfully transcend this world system in the future and go to the world outside the box, then this ability can indeed have a life-saving effect. Immediately, Ryusuke Yagami was equipped with this higher divine body entry. As the entry is equipped, Ryusuke Yagami also knew what kind of divine body he had obtained. Immortal Divine Body. As the name suggests, the effect of this divine body is to improve its defense and recovery capabilities. Defense is more than just physical. Even on the soul level. It seems that this divine body can directly weaken the soul attack from the outside. After weakening it layer by layer, the remaining attacks will not be able to hurt Yagami Ryusuke's soul. The effect of the immortal divine body is to weaken attacks that do not exceed the upper limit of the advanced god level to only 1/1,000,000th. If it exceeds the high god level, every time a greater realm is added, the weakening effect is reduced by 1,000 times. Then, as long as it exceeds 2 major realms, its weakening effect will completely disappear. But this is already strong. In addition, Ryusuke Yagami also has a 30,000% bonus to the strength of this divine body. The immortal divine body, which was originally able to weaken the attack to 1 part in 1,000,000, directly further achieved the astonishing effect of 1 part in 300 million. 300 million points of attack damage hit Ryusuke Yagami, but in the end it could only cause 1 point of damage. Just tell me if it's awesome or not. And Immortal Divine Body also has super recovery ability. Even if the divine body is destroyed until only a single cell remains, it can be recovered in a very short time. To say it is immortal is not an exaggeration. This is the advanced divine body. Very strong. It's so strong that it looks like titanium. Go to Tongtian Kiao and try the effect. After Yagami Ryusuke obtained the immortal divine body, he immediately thought of the God King level gatekeeper on the 51st floor of Tongtian Bridge. He had always wanted to know how close the God King level was to the God level. Great realm. He had no way of knowing before. But now that he has the immortal divine body, things have become simpler. The effect of the immortal divine body, within the high God level, can weaken attacks to 1 part in 300 million. Every time it exceeds a great realm, reduced by 1,000 times. In other words, if the God King level is a level after the high God level, then the weakened attack will only be 1/300,000th. If it is the second level after the high God level, then the weakened attack will only be 1 in 300. If it exceeds 3 levels, then it will be completely ineffective. Brush. Yagamai Ryusuk's consciousness immediately entered the Tongtian Bridge in the chat group. Entering Tongtian Bridge at the entrance, Ryusuke Yagamai appeared directly in the space on the 51st floor. Are you here again? But your strength is still far from enough, go back. The God King level gatekeeper appeared again. He still looked like a God Super Saiyan. Yagamai Ryusuke was very suspicious that he was a God Super Saiyan. Of course. It's possible that he just looked similar. No, I want to try. Ryusuke Yagamai said. Forget it, since you don't give up, then give it a try. The gatekeeper said calmly. Not caring at all. Show your strongest state, and I will let you understand how big the gap is between you and me. The gatekeeper folded his hands and had no intention of taking action first. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Being in Konoha, I can upgrade my talent entries. Author, MRMO. Chapter 307. Ryusuke Yagamai knew that he was no match for the gatekeeper on the 51st floor. So he unceremoniously unblocked 100% of the power of the contract, and then activated the bonus state of the entry, and his strength instantly increased by more than 500,000 times. The divine chakra in the body has also turned into a higher quality chakra energy. Yagamai Ryusuke doesn't know if this is considered divine chakra? Or, should we call it super god chakra? No matter what. Yagamai Ryusuke is so powerful now that he is so powerful. But he is still far from the gatekeeper in front of him. He raised his hand, and a hot white ball formed in his palm, and then Ryusuke Yagamai fiercely blasted him towards the gatekeeper opposite. Your strength has improved a lot, but it's useless. The gatekeeper stood there with his hands folded, letting Yagamai Ryusuke's attack hit him, but remained unmoved. When the scorching white light dissipated, the gatekeeper was still unscathed. Yagamai Ryusuke, I tried my best to hit him, but I couldn't do any harm to him. God. The golden will is reincarnated and explodes. The golden lightsaber struck down hard. The terrifying power was enough to instantly kill hundreds of millions of god-level invincible strong men. But when the golden lightsaber struck the gatekeeper, it didn't even hit a hair on the opponent's body. Break. Ryusuke Yagamai stopped. He knew that his attack had no effect on the gatekeeper. But he couldn't hit even a hair, which somewhat frustrates his self-confidence. At this moment. Is your attack done? So now let you see the 620 difference between you and me. The gatekeeper stretched out his right hand casually, and a blue light lit up on his fingertips. Then a small ball appeared. As the gatekeeper waved his hand, the blue ball instantly turned into a beam of light and hit Yeshen Liang. On my body. The gatekeeper suddenly frowned. Looking at Yagamai Ryusuke, whose body was penetrated by the attack and dissipating, his eyes flashed with a strange light. At this time, Yagamai Ryusuke also got the answer he wanted. The attack is weakened to 1/300, so is the God King level 2 realms higher than the High God level. A flash of understanding flashed in Yagamai Ryusuke's eyes. Then he couldn't help but secretly cursed a few more times for the shamelessness of the Hokage chat group. He actually arranged for a strong man 3 levels higher than the God level to guard it. The Tongtian Bridge on the 51st floor. Isn't it obvious that I don't want people to pass the level? Damn it, what a dog. The consciousness returned to the body. Ryusuke Yagamai touched his chest, which was the place where he had just been beaten by the 50th level. The part where the gatekeeper on the first floor penetrated. Even if the attack is weakened to only 1/300, it can still easily kill me instantly. This God King level strength is really terrifying. Ryusuke Yagamai thought to himself. But after all, he is a strong man who has surpassed his current 2 realms. Even if he has an enhanced version of the immortal divine body, he still cannot avoid being killed instantly. This is normal, really, if it can be blocked. it will appear abnormal. However, I finally figured out a problem that has been bothering me. According to the analysis of the currently known information, the next level after the God level is the High God level, then an uncertain level, and then the God King level. I don't know if there is a higher level after the God King level. But I think there should be some. I just don't know what the level between the High God level and the God King level is called. God level? Main God level. Ryosuke Yagamai guessed in his mind. The next day, the fourth generation Hokage Heitake Sakumo was in the parallel world. Ryosuke Yagamai was reading a comic in his hand. In the kitchen next to him, Kushina and Mikoto were busy. Mainly because Mikoto was busy. Kushina's words were to help Mikoto. Originally, Ryosuke Yagamai also wanted to help. But the two of them insisted on saying that men should not enter the kitchen, and the kitchen is their women's battlefield and so on. Ryosuke Yagamai couldn't defeat them. So he could only sit in the living room and read comics. The comic is the latest work of a comic master in this world. It tells the story of a ninja named Kojima Kawajiro. How to say? Generally so-so. It can be used to pass the time. At this time, Yagamai Ryosuke regretted that he used too much force last time. He accidentally smashed the handheld device on the time traveler into powder. Otherwise, now he doesn't have to read this boring comic. Instead, he can hold a modern and civilized handheld console and play the game on the cassette. Although he doesn't know what games are on that handheld console. But it is better than anything else. This manga is more interesting, right? By the time Ryosuke Yagamai has finished reading most of the manga, Mikoto and Kushina have also prepared a feast for tonight. Ryosuke, come over for dinner. Kushina took the bowls and chopsticks and put them away, while shouting to Ryosuke Yagamai in the living room. Coming. Ryosuke Yagamai put down his comic book and came to the restaurant. It looks delicious. Really, Mikoto said with a smile, then you should eat more later. No problem. Yagamai Ryosuke smiled and nodded. The three of them sat down, and Kushina filled a bowl of soup for Yagamai Ryosuke. Have a drink and look at this soup. She looked expectant. As soon as Yagamai Ryosuke saw her expression, he guessed that this bowl of soup was probably made by Kushina. Even if Kushina did not operate the whole process personally, she was involved in most of the processes. That's why he looked so full of expectations. Seeing this, Ryosuke Yagamai would naturally not disappoint Kushina. So he picked up the small bowl and took a sip. It felt slightly salty in the mouth, but there was nothing strange about it. Weird taste, and quite fresh. How about it? Kushina asked expectantly. Very, very delicious. Yagamai. Ryosuke nodded, and then asked knowingly, did Mikoto make this soup? Mikoto, who was sitting opposite, smiled and shook her head, looking at Kushina. No, I cooked this for you myself. Kushina looked proud. Oh. Unexpectedly, our Kushina actually learned how to make soup. Ryosuke Yagamai looked surprised, then smiled and rubbed Kushina's head, hugged her and kissed her on the face. Thank you for your hard work. But this soup is really delicious. It seems that you are not completely devoid of cooking talent, Kushina. Ryosuke Yagamai said with a smile. To read exciting novels, go to Fila Novel Network. Kushina snorted with a proud look on her face. Of course. If I want to learn, I can definitely learn it well. Mikoto, who was sitting opposite, looked at the two guys being affectionate as if there was no one around, and she blushed with embarrassment. You two, please stop it. Eat quickly. She said angrily. Damn it. She actually showed affection in front of me. Mikoto pinched her chopsticks angrily. She also wants sweet love. What a pity. She hasn't met the destined Mr. Right yet. Ouch. Mikoto, are you blushing? Kushina looked at the blushing Mikoto with a smile, and said loudly on purpose. Eat, you, and eat to block your mouth. Mikoto picked up a piece of meat angrily and stuffed it into Kushina's mouth. Kushina giggled while tasting the muscle in her mouth. Well, Mikoto's acting is getting better and better. I don't know who in the future will be so lucky to marry such a virtuous wife like Mikoto. Kushina said. Mikoto's craftsmanship is indeed great. Yagami Ryosuke has also eaten a lot of delicious food. And it's food from different worlds. And Mikoto's craftsmanship is ranked among the chefs he has tasted. Entering the top 5. No wonder. Mikoto will be sought after by the fans of Naruto in her previous life as one of the most beautiful wives? The wife's attribute will probably also play a big factor. After all, everyone calls CAO a thief, but everyone wants to be a CAO thief. In the evening, Mikoto stayed for a while longer and left at almost 9:30. Kushina asked Ryosuke Yagami to give Mikoto a gift. Ryosuke Yagami is invincible. Okay, that's it, you go back to accompany Kushina. Mikoto stopped at an intersection. In front of her was the Uchiha clan's territory. Speaking of which, the Uchiha clan in this world has been regained control by Uchiha Madara. But Uchiha Madara did this very secretly except for the top leaders of the Uchiha clan, not many people know about it. After all, with Uchiha Madara's ability, if he really doesn't want his existence to be discovered, even Hatake Sakumo, who is now quasi-super cage level strength, will not. You may have discovered it. Well, take a rest early and see you again next time. Ryosuke Yagami nodded, watching Mikoto turn around and walk towards the clan, and then turned back. At this time, Mikoto, who had walked a few steps, looked back again. If it would be better if I met Ryosuke-kun earlier. Mikoto looked at the retreating figure over there and thought silently in her heart. After getting along with each other for this period of time, Mikoto also found that she seemed to like this boy who was much younger than herself. There were many things she liked about him. Specially made. Compared with the men she comes into contact with in daily life. Yagami Ryosuke gave her a very special feeling, something that no one else had ever had. But what made Mikoto feel helpless was that Yagami Ryosuke she is already with her good sister Kushina. The two of them have not concealed their relationship with each other at all. Mikoto is not blind, so naturally she cannot fail to see that Kushina has handed her over to Shinsuke. In this way, how could she have the nerve to compete with her good sister for a man? Although Kushina had said before that she would share Ryosuke Yagami with Mikoto, Mikoto felt that it was just a joke by Kushina. As a woman, unless they have no choice, who would be willing to share the same man with other women? Even the best sisters are not like this. Standing under the street lamp, Mikoto sighed quietly. Then she turned around and returned to the clan. The next day, evening, Yagami Ryosuke got up early after sleeping for more than 2 hours. Kushina was left sleeping soundly on the bed. He went to the bathroom to wash up before going downstairs to go out to buy something. But Yagami Ryosuke had just opened when he opened the door, a figure rushed towards him. Because he didn't notice any danger, Yagami Ryosuke caught him directly. What happened? Yagami Ryosuke looked at him unconsciously with his eyes closed in his arms in surprise. Mikoto. A question mark on her face. This is, passed out, 1.7. Yagami Ryosuke discovered that Mikoto seemed to have fainted from exhaustion. The chakra on her body was thin, and the pupil power of her eyes was severely depleted. He looked up at the sky. There were no enemies chasing Mikoto. Let go of your perception. There is no dangerous situation hundreds of kilometers away. What is going on? Ryosuke Yagami also had a dumbfounded expression. Then he didn't need to go out to buy anything. He just carried the unconscious Mikoto back and put her on the sofa in the living room. After putting Mikoto down, Ryosuke Yagami also checked her. After confirming that she had no other problems except for the severe depletion of chakra and eye energy, I felt relieved. From this point of view, it seems a bit like a transition in cultivation and a loss of strength. Yakami Ryusuke analyzed. But, how could it be such a coincidence that just when he was going out, Mikoto lost all her strength and fell from the sky? Also, why did she escape to heaven? You couldn't have gone up to the sky with a full-body Susanoo, right? Mikoto's eyes are just ordinary kaleidoscopes, not eternal kaleidoscopes. Where can I use the complete Susanoo? Forget it, wait until she wakes up and ask again. Ryusuke Yagami turned around and went to the kitchen to pour a glass of water and put it on the coffee table in front of the sofa. Then he turned around and sat down on the single sofa, picked up the manga from yesterday and continued reading. While waiting for the person lying on the sofa, Mikoto wakes up. With the physique of the Uchiha clan, she should wake up soon. Being in Konoha, I can upgrade my talent entries. Author, MRMO. Chapter 308. More than an hour later. Just when Ryusuke Yagami was about to finish reading this comic book, Mikoto, who was lying on the sofa over there, also faintly woke up. Where? She started to do it in a daze, looking at the familiar environment around her, feeling that her brain was still a little awake. You're awake. At this time, a familiar voice came. Mikoto turned around and looked over, and found Yagami Ryusuke sitting over there. Ryusuke, Mikoto said in surprise, then looked around. So, is this Kushina's house? Yes. Ryusuke Yagami came over and sat down next to her, stretched out his hand to hold her little hand, and felt her physical condition. Mikoto looked at Ryusuke Yagami's movements and felt the warm touch on her hands, and couldn't help but blush. Stand up. Fortunately, there's nothing wrong with you. You're just a little exhausted. You'll be fine if you rest more. Ryusuke Yagami let go of his hand at this time, then looked at Mikoto and asked, Tell me, what's going on with you? You fell from the sky as soon as I went out. If I hadn't just caught you, you would have been injured. Hearing this, Mikoto couldn't care less about being shy. She had an embarrassed expression on her face, and she didn't know how to explain it. It turned out that after she went home last night, she tossed and turned and couldn't fall asleep. As soon as she closed her eyes, her mind was filled with the night. The scene of Kami Ryusuke and Kushina making love to each other. This made Mikoto upset. So she simply stopped sleeping and got up directly and went out to practice for a while. If she sweated, she might be able to calm down. But the result was this: I got a little carried away while practicing. I didn't pay attention for a while, and almost exhausted all my pupil power, so that my eyes felt severe pain, and my brain briefly entered a self-protection mode. It is also commonly known as coma. At that time, Mikoto was practicing one of her eye skills. She happened to be in the sky. As a result, she fell into a coma and fell from the sky. I was practicing my pupil technique, but I didn't notice that my pupil power was consumed too much, so I fell into a coma. Mikoto briefly explained. She didn't say why she ran out to practice because she didn't sleep all night, and she practiced all night long. Seeing Mikoto's embarrassed look, Yagami Ryusuke also I knew she probably had something to hide, so I didn't ask in detail. Then you should pay attention next time. Your kaleidoscope is not an eternal kaleidoscope. If you use it too much, you will go blind. Ryusuke Yagami reminded. Ah. Is there such a thing? Mikoto looked at Ryusuke Yagami in surprise. She really didn't know that she would go blind if she used too much kaleidoscope. This made her face turn pale with fright. Thinking about it carefully, she has been practicing eye skills from time to time these days. She really feels that her eyesight is like it seems to be declining. Could it be that? Is this a sign of going blind? When Mikoto thought of this, she suddenly panicked. You don't even know this. Ryusuke Yagamai also looked at Mikoto in surprise. He thought Mikoto knew. But it turned out, she has no idea that kaleidoscopes can cause blindness if used too much. Mikoto shook her head. She really had never heard of this. After all, her awakening of the kaleidoscope was just an accident, and her current relationship with the top leaders of the Uchiha clan was not good. Therefore, I don't know much about these secret things. Okay, by the way, what is your awakened pupil technique? Ryusuke Yagamai shook his head and asked. He really didn't know what kind of eye technique Mikoto's kaleidoscope awakened. However, since she said before that it was because she was practicing the eye technique, which led to the depletion of eye power. Too big and comatose. So, one of her pupil techniques should be related to flying, right? Or is it about time and space? Sure enough. Mikoto answered. At this time the two pupil techniques I awakened, one is the illusion ability that can negate the damage I receive, and the other is the time-space pupil technique that allows me to move instantly within the visual range at will. Can your illusory pupil technique negate any damage? Ryusuke Yagamai asked in surprise. If this is the case, then this pupil technique is very powerful. Hearing this, Mikoto shook her head. No, it can only neutralize attacks that I can see. If it is a sneak attack, my pupil technique will be useless. Mikoto said. That's it? Ryusuke Yagamai nodded. If that's the case, then the limitations of this eye technique are indeed quite large. If you can't see it, it won't work. If the enemy is too fast, or it's a sneak attack from behind. There is no difference whether there is a pupil technique or not. But Ryusuke Yagamai looked at Mikoto with strange eyes. What's wrong? Mikoto felt a little embarrassed by him. Sister Mikoto, who have you told about your two eye skills? You, Mikoto said, and Kushina. What about other than that? Yagamai Ryusuke asked. Mikoto shook her head. No, I only told you two. That's okay. Ryusuke Yagamai nodded. Sister Mikoto, you have obvious weaknesses in both of your eye skills. Please don't tell others casually in the future. Of course I won't. I'm not stupid. Mikoto said angrily when she heard this. She said this as if her IQ was very low. Then you still tell me and Kushina without reservation. Ryusuke Yagamai said speechlessly. Kushina is my best friend, Mikoto said, and you are. What is it? Ryusuke Yagamai looked into her eyes. Mikoto turned her head away in embarrassment. To read exciting novels, go to Feel a Novel Network. You are Kushina's boyfriend, she will definitely tell you anyway. Mikoto said. In fact, of course it's not because of this reason. But Mikoto obviously didn't intend to tell the real reason. Yagamai Ryusuke is not a man with a shockingly low emotional intelligence. How could he not see what Mikoto thinks? But there are some things, in fact, it is more interesting not to mention it clearly. If you really talk about it, it will make things boring. Moreover, Mikoto always has to go through the hurdle in her heart for this kind of thing. She doesn't want to admit it. Yagamai Ryokenji still force her? Mikoto sat in the living room and rested for a while, then excused herself and left. There was no way, a man and a woman were alone in a room. Mikoto was afraid that she would reveal too much of her inner thoughts. It is not good if the relationship between the two parties is awkward. Therefore, after she felt that her body had recovered a little, she found an excuse to leave. Yagamai Ryusuke did not let her stay, but only told her not to exhaust her pupil power again in the future. Mikoto was also very embarrassed. This time it was actually an accident. Her mind was elsewhere, so she didn't pay attention. Under normal circumstances, she would definitely not be like this. But she couldn't explain this kind of thing to Ryusuke Yagamai. So I can only nod and promise that I will pay more careful attention in the future. After Mikoto left, Yagami Ryosuke also went out to buy some things, and then came back to prepare to continue merging the god-level entries that had not been synthesized. As for Jushina, she probably won't get up if she doesn't sleep until the afternoon. Ryosuke Yagami doesn't want to disturb her, so let her have a good rest. In the living room, Ryosuke Yagami took a sip of juice and planned to continue synthesizing super god level entry, etc. How about I upgrade the Lucky Star entry first? The gold level Lucky Star entry can already increase luck 30 times. Wouldn't it be even more powerful if it was upgraded to god level? Ryosuke Yagami suddenly stopped. Then he looked at his remaining experience points of 0.40. Very good. There are still 2 to 3 million experience points. It is enough for him to upgrade the entry Lucky Star first. Reach the god level, and then synthesize those god level entries. As for using synthetic ones to upgrade the Lucky Star entries, how is that possible? After synthesis, who knows what type of entries can be synthesized? So, it is still safe 1 point. Anyway, the golden entry to upgrade to the god level is only 100,000 experience points. Is Ryosuke Yagami the person who lacks this little experience point? So, with a wave of his hand, he directly crossed out 100,000 experience points and invested it in Lucky Star entry. Its level has been upgraded to the god level. Lucky Star, God, you have enviable luck. Going out to pick up money is just a routine operation for you. Turning bad luck into good luck is just a normal phenomenon for you. You never know what unlucky is because you are lucky always by your side. Luck add 12,000%. Really? After the upgraded Lucky Star entry, the increased luck value suddenly increased from 3,000% to 12,000%. A full 120 times luck bonus. If we say, it had to be synthesized thousands of times before to successfully synthesize a super god level entry. So now, it may not take 1,000, 800, or 900 times to successfully synthesize it. This saves a lot of experience points. After all, 50 points once, 1,000 times is 50,000 points. A super god level entry saves 2,000 synthesis times, which is 100,000 experience points. 10 super god level entries are 1 million. 100 super god level entries are 10 million. Certainly, Ryosuke Yagami cannot synthesize so many super god level entries for the time being. But 60 or 70 is still no problem. Being in Konoha, I can upgrade my talent entries. Author, MRMO. Chapter 309. 120 times the luck value bonus. This time I will synthesize all the repeated god level entries. Correct. There is actually one god level entry that has not been converted. Ryosuke Yagami took out a piece of hair, and then transformed it into an entry. This is the hair of a god level strongman from the Itsutsuki clan, which Ryosuke Yagami just collected recently. After the transformation, Ryosuke Kami got one god level entry plus 2 golden entries. Now, the number of god level entries Yagami Ryosuke has repeated and cannot equip has reached 128. In other words, you can synthesize 64 super god level entries. Of course, this is theoretical. After all, synthesis costs experience points. If you co-author and co-author, the experience points may be lost. But today, Ryosuke Yagami can synthesize at least 50 god level entries, right? In this way, the system will definitely be updated again today, from version 3.0 to version 4.0. I don't know what new features will be added in version 4.0. Ryosuke Yagami expressed his expectation. Moreover, when entering the 4.0 version era, the original functions of the system will also be improved. For example, the basic success rate of the synthesis function will be increased and the fees will be reduced. New positions will be added to the AFK position again, and the efficiency of AFK will also be improved. No matter what, Every update of the system is great news for Ryusuke Yagamai, which means that his strength will enter a new stage of rapid improvement. Even there may be new entry levels above the Super God level. After all, even if it is a Super God level entry, there is no way for Ryusuke Yagamai to have the strength of a God King level. In other words, I want my strength to reach the level of God King. At least it requires a talent entry of 1 or even 2 levels above the Super God level to be able to do it. Come on, start compositing. Ryusuke Yagamai then placed the 2 God level entries into the 2 synthesis boxes. His mind turned into a finger and lightly clicked the synthesis button. Instantly, a golden light shone. The synthesis began. God level. God level. God level. The results of synthesis every time are all God level, but Ryusuke Yagamai is not disappointed. Where is this? It's only dozens of times. If it really takes dozens of times to synthesize a super God level talent word, if it's true, that's really crazy. Although his luck has increased 120 times now, it's not exaggerated to this extent. You know, the success rate of synthesizing super God level talent entries is comparable to the probability of being suddenly killed by a meteorite on the street is about the same. With such a small probability, no matter how lucky you are, no matter how European you are, it will not be so easy to synthesize. Yagamai Ryusuke patiently continued to synthesize. Wait. When the synthesis reached the 873rd time, a dark golden light finally appeared. The third super God level entry appeared. Very good. More than 800 times, which is about the same as my previous estimate. Ryusuke Yagamai clenched his fists with an excited look on his face. Before, he estimated that 800 or 900 times would be enough to synthesize a super God level entry. But the current result is similar to what he estimated before. 8 more than 100, nearly 900 times of synthesis. The experience points spent were not even 50,000. Previously, it took 10 experience points to upgrade the Lucky Star entry. Such a small amount of experience points was used to exchange for a super God level entry. What a bargain. Look at the properties of the entry. Ryusuke Yagamai clicked on this newly synthesized super God level entry. Power of High God, Super God level. You have the power of God that is at the top of the level of High God. Your power is almost unrivaled among the same level. The power of higher gods at 30,000%. Comes with, the power of a higher God. Power of High God, the chakra of God in your body will transform into a higher level of power of God energy. Oh. This entry seems to be very similar to the previous high-level divine body. Ryusuke Yagamai looked at this newly released super God level entry. Then he equipped it. Almost at the moment the entry was equipped, Ryusuke Yagamai was born from scratch in his body. A higher level of power emerged. He had possessed this power before. When his combat power was fully activated, the chakra of God in his body would transform into this higher level of energy. But now, yet even under normal conditions, Kami Ryusuke possesses this kind of energy that has been transformed into orange higher God's power. At the same time, the God's chakra in Yagamai Ryusuke's body is also transformed into this form of higher God's power. The golden power of the higher gods continued to gather, and finally formed the shape of a miniature planet in Yagamai Ryusuke's danshin, with light spots flickering around it. Those were smaller particles, densely packed in number, not just hundreds of billions and trillions. They surround the miniature planet in the middle that is condensed with the power of the higher gods, forming a nebula-like material that is constantly revolving around the miniature planet. The energy in the body has been completely transformed into a higher level of higher God power. Although the quantity has become less, the quality is much higher than before. Ryusuke Yagamai looked at the miniature planet in his body's danshin. This little thing looked small, but in fact it was because the entire danshin space of Yagamai Ryusuke had been expanded a lot. The original Danshin space was the size is only as big as the kingdom of water. But now, the internal size of the entire Danshin space is tens of thousands of times larger than the entire ninja world. To read Bao's Huang novels, go to Filu Novel Network. So, this it seems small, but it occupies tens of thousands of a tiny planet in the entire Danshin space. In fact, its size is similar to that of the ninja world. Now my normal strength should have reached the high god level and is invincible. Ryusuke Yagami made a guess. Then he opened the Hokage chat group and clicked on his business card. Sure enough. In the rating column, the original god level invincibility has become a high level god level invincibility. And, in the rating column, there is a special comment behind the invincibility of high level gods. 5th level invincibility. This 5th level should be equivalent to the high level god level. The previous god level should be level 4. As for why such a note appears, Yakami Ryusuke doesn't quite understand either. Maybe it's because his strength has surpassed the Hokage system in the judgment of the Hokage chat group. And this 5th level should be a realm division common to all the worlds. After all, the strength of human beings has completely different names in different world systems. Maybe it's called God level here. And the other side becomes immortal level, king level, or something like that. In short, in order to unify these realms, we might as well use classes with different numbers are used as divisions, so that everyone can understand them at a glance. Level 5 invincible, that's not bad. Ryusuke Yagami smiled slightly. Then he opened the synthesis interface again and continued to synthesize those god level entries. After another 833 synthesis, Ryusuke Yagami finally synthesized the 4th super god level entry. Bloodline of High God, super god level. Your bloodline power has reached the level of High God. Maybe you can try to form a family and give birth to more descendants. Maybe they will inherit the power of your bloodline. Bloodline power at 30,000%. Attached, guidance from the bloodline of the higher gods. Guidance of the bloodline of a higher god. Under the guidance of this ability, your bloodline will continue to evolve towards the bloodline of a higher god, and eventually they will reach the peak of the bloodline of a higher god. In the future, as long as your descendants inherit your bloodline, they will becoming a god is just a thought away. The bloodline of a high god. The first thing Ryusuke Yagami thought of was his god. Samsara I and God. Sansei I. These two pairs of eyes have completed evolution during this period of time. They have reached the god level bloodline level. But, now Yakami Ryusuke's strength has been further improved to the level of high god and invincible. The help of a mere god level bloodline is minimal to him. And at this time, such an entry bloodline of high god appeared. Isn't it? Does it mean that his various bloodline powers will gradually evolve and eventually reach the peak state of the bloodline of a high god? And that's not all, this entry also increased the power of the bloodline by 300 times. That night god when all of Ryusuke's bloodlines have reached the peak of the high-level god's bloodline. Add in this 300-fold bonus. Wouldn't it be far superior to other bloodlines of the same level? Invincible to the high-level god? No. Maybe far away more than. Yes, now the power of high god, the body of high god, and even the power of blood have reached or are about to reach the level of high god. If you think about it this way, it seems that I don't lack anything anymore. Ryusuke Yagami did the math and found that with just 4 super god level talents, it seemed that he had no shortcomings among the high level gods. The immortal body brought him powerful defense. The high-level gods the power gave him the invincible energy of the high god level. And now, even the bloodline ability is about to reach the high god level. He only has to wait for time to pass before he can reach the peak level of the high god level. The best at the same level. Then, he still has what's missing? Weapons. But those are foreign objects. The talent entry will not directly give Yagami Ryusuke any foreign objects. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Being in Konoha, I can upgrade my talent entries. Author, MRMO. Chapter 310. Maybe it will be an entry like the previous Shadow Swordsman. Moreover, there are some entries that grant bloodline, which can also enrich my methods, although it does not seem to have much impact on the improvement of peak strength. Ryosuke Yagami thought about it, and after a while he decided to synthesize it first. Even if there are repeated super god level entries, it's okay. Isn't it possible to synthesize them again after higher level entries are updated? I just don't know. If two super god level entries are combined, how low will the success rate be? After thinking about it, Ryosuke Yagami continued to start the unfinished synthesis work. After another 812 synthesis, the fifth super god level entry is born again. But this time, the synthesized super god level entry has already existed before. In other words, the first repeated super god level entry has appeared. It's starting to get repetitive. Ryosuke Yagami sighed inwardly. He continued to synthesize. Then, the sixth, the seventh. The two super god level entries were all repeated. 3 repeated super god level entries appeared, giving Ryosuke Yagami's heart cast a shadow. At this time, the 8th super god level entry was successfully synthesized. Ryosuke Yagami checked the information of this entry with some worry. When he saw the unfamiliar content, immediately relieved. Fortunately, it's not a duplicate. He said in his heart. Invincible divine power, super god level. Your power is unmatched by anyone and is the best in the world at your same level. Physical fitness at 30,000%. Comes with, Mad Fighting God Body. Mad Fighting Divine Body, the basic divine body has reached the pinnacle of high-level gods in all aspects. Good, 967. Ryosuke Yagami looked at this newly born super god level entry with satisfaction. The God of War Fury, another special divine body. And this time the improvement is not just to increase Ryosuke Yagami's life-saving ability. It is a real deal. The fighting power. The fighting god body directly allows Ryosuke Yagami's physical qualities to reach the peak of the high god level in one step. In other words, even if he doesn't know anything else, just by relying on the fighting god body, he can defeat others. A strong man at the peak of the high god level. Not to mention, this divine body relies on the attribute of physical fitness bonus. The 30,000% physical fitness bonus that comes with the entry has already increased the physical fitness by 300 times. Not to mention said. Yagami Ryosuke's other entries before this are attached to the physical fitness bonus attribute. When combined together, it directly makes Yagami Ryosuke's physical fitness comparable to that of a high-level god-level invincible. It is simply an invincible physique. It is indeed a super god-level entry. Just one can bring me power that is invincible even among high-level gods. There are already 5 super god-level entries that can be equipped on equipment. I wonder how many non-duplicate super god-level entries can be left. Because of the 3 repeated super god level entries before, Ryosuke Yagami realized that the synthesized super god level entries seemed to be quite easy to be repeated. If they were upgraded, this situation would not happen. Why? Because the upgraded super god level entries are different from other entries from the beginning. The synthesized super god level entries seem to have an entry library, and then a certain part of this entry library, the probability of an entry appearing is very high, while the probability of other entries appearing is very low. The result is that repeated super god level entries will easily appear. But that's not the case. Anyway, I can synthesize enough god level entries. Ryosuke Yagami said with a smile. Then he continued to synthesize. The 9th. The 10th. The 11th. The 3 entries were repeated again. And they appeared twice higher gods power this entry. The entry power of higher gods also appeared before. Ryosuke Yagami found that this entry appeared most frequently. It really steals the spotlight. Unlimited energy, super god level. Your energy is beyond your imagination. Higher divine power recovery speed at 60,000%. Super demonization, super god level. You have the ability to demonize others. Oh my god, you don't want to build a demonized army, do you? Demonic ability recovery time minus 90%. Comes with demonic ability. Demonization ability, you can demonize others. The demonized target will always be loyal to you and gain the power of your current realm. Note, you cannot obtain divine body, entry bonus, etc. God of time, super god level. You are the god who controls the power of time. Time has no secrets for you. The power of divine magic at 30,000%. Attached, the divine power of time. The divine power of time grants you partial control over the power of time. With it, you are the god of time. God of space, super god level. You are the god who controls the power of space, and space has no secrets for you. The power of divine magic at 30,000%. Attached, space divine power. Space divine power grants you the power to partially control the power of space. With it, you are the god of space. It was synthesized dozens of times in succession. Ryosuke Yagami received a lot of repeated super god level entries. At the same time, there are also 4 unrepeated super god level entries that he has equipped. To read Bao's Huang novels, go to Fila Novel Network. These 4 entries are a bit special. They are different from the repetitive entries that have appeared before. It should be the kind of entry that has a low probability of appearing in the entry library, BJ. After equipping these entries, Ryosuke Yagami's strength has improved a lot. However, there are only 9 super god level entries on his equipment at the moment. The system update he had been looking forward to did not appear. This means that this system update may very well require 10 super god level entries. And there are 10 super god level entries on the equipment. In this case, now Ryosuke Yagami is just 1 less. The remaining experience points are only enough to synthesize more than 2,800 times. I wonder if these 2,800 times can be used to synthesize a non-repetitive super god level entry. Ryosuke Yagami glanced at the remaining experience points. Then he clicked on the synthesis button with his mind. A golden light flashed, and a god level entry was synthesized. He continued to click. When it reached 877 times, a god level entry was finally synthesized. A super god level entry. What a pity. It's still a duplicate. Continue. Ryosuke Yagami clicked the synthesis button again. After 799 times, a super god level entry was synthesized. Ryosuke Yagami's eyes lit up. Because the super god level entries synthesized this time are not duplicates. God of Transcendence, super god level. You can transcend everything, the so-called upper limit, that's not your upper limit at all. The power of higher gods add 10,000%. Bloodline power add 10,000%. Physical fitness add 10,000%. Divine body strength add 10,000%. It's rare. The first super god level entry with so many attributes finally appeared. Ryosuke Yagami looked at the properties of this newly released super god level entry and couldn't help but smile knowingly. The previous super god level entries seem to have been agreed one by one. They are not single attributes. Just 2 attributes. Ryosuke Yagami thought that all super god level entries looked like this. Now it seems that he was wrong. There are still some super god level entries. There are many attribute categories. For example, the current entry for God of Transcendence has 4 attributes, each of which is a 100-fold bonus. Moreover, all of them are attributes that are useful at the level of high god level. They are comparable to the previous ones. An increase in super god level entries. Yagami Ryusuke happily accepted this entry and then equipped it. In this way, he has 10 super god level entries that can be equipped. The rest cannot be equipped. Up there. There are 50 of them. There are a total of 60 super god level entries, and the lucky star entries are really powerful. Ryusuke Yagami once again lamented the power of the entry Lucky Star. A god level entry, which made Ryusuke Yagami crazy to obtain 60 super god level entries in one day. Of course. This is also inseparable. Yagami Ryusuke's previous accumulation. If he hadn't accumulated so many god level entries, he wouldn't have been able to synthesize so many super god level entries today. Ding. Yagami Ryusuke was glad in his heart when he had already thought of an entry like Lucky Star to improve luck. A familiar reminder suddenly sounded in his mind. Ryusuke Yagami couldn't help but his eyes lit up. Here it comes. Congratulations to the host for reaching 10 super god level entries for accumulated equipment. The system update conditions are triggered and the system starts to update. System version is being updated. A familiar progress bar appeared in Ryusuke Yagami's mind. 1%, 2%, 3%. The progress is almost increasing by 1% per second. More than a minute later, ding. The system update is completed and a new function is added, entry conversion. Add new entry level, toe class. Being in Konoha, I can upgrade my talent entries. Author, MRMO. Chapter 311. The original functions have been improved, please check the details by the host yourself. When the prompt in his mind disappeared, Yagami Ryusuke couldn't wait to open the character panel, and then looked at the idle slots at the bottom. The original version had 7 idle slots before the update. According to the previous rules, so after this update, the idle slots should increase to 9. But the actual situation is different. Because Yagami Ryusuke discovered that the idle slots have not increased to 9, but to 10. Perfect. Ryusuke Yagami, this word came to mind subconsciously. Then I happily accepted the change. After all, this is one more, not one less. What is unacceptable? In addition to the change in the number of on-hook slots, the efficiency of on-hook has also changed. It has improved a lot. Ryusuke Yagami checked it and found that the experience value of the gold entries daily hang-up has changed from 2,400 points per day before the version update to 24,000 points per day now. It has increased tenfold. He tried again, put a god level entry on an empty idle slot. I found that the daily idle experience value income is 50,000 points. Very good. It is also 10 times, no more, no less. In this case, it originally took 2,000 days to upgrade to a super god level divine entry, now only requires 200 points to complete the upgrade. How about 200 days? Not much at all. Less than a year, just over half a year. Then, Ryusuke Yagami again try putting a super god level entry on the idle position to see how long it takes to upgrade an entry of this level. It turns out that upgrading a super god level entry that requires 10 billion experience points can get 10 per day if you place it on the idle position. 10,000 experience points. For 10 billion experience points it would take 100,000 days. That is more than 273 years. Ryusuke Yagami silently took down this super god level entry and put 2 god level entries with good attributes on it. In this way, among Yagami Ryusuke's 10 on-hook slots, 7 of them have golden entries, and the other 3 newly added ones have 3 important god level entries. Well, although the upgrade speed of divine entries is slightly slower. But it's only more than half a year, so it doesn't mean we can't wait. Yes, the version update has improved the idle efficiency tenfold, and even the upgrade of god level entries only takes more than half a year. Ryusuke Yagami is quite satisfied with the improvement of this original function. You know, it only takes more than 4 days to upgrade a golden entry to a god level entry. This is simply too fast. It's almost Yagami. It won't take long for Ryosuke to upgrade all the golden entries on his body to god level entries. Then these 10 AFK slots can all be equipped with higher level god level entries. As for the super god level? Haha. Yagami Ryosuke didn't want to wait more than 200 years for an entry to be upgraded. After seeing the improvement of the idle position, Yagami Ryosuke once again focused on the function of entry synthesis. After all, this function is one of the most useful functions at present. It just brought him 60 super god level entries. If it weren't for it, Yagami Ryosuke wouldn't be able to usher in it so quickly. The 4.0 version of the system. Therefore, the improvement effect of the entry synthesis function is very important to Ryosuke Yagami. First of all, there is the charging standard. The entry synthesis function before the version update charges 50 experience points for each synthesis. But now, the fee for the entry synthesis function has been reduced to 25 experience points. It has been cut in half again. Very good. In the past, it could only be synthesized 10,000 times, but now it can be synthesized 20,000 times. It saves Yagami Ryosuke a lot experience value. Secondly, it is the success rate of synthesis. Now the entry synthesis function can synthesize entries of gold and lower levels, and the success rate can reach more than 80%. In other words, it is almost unlikely that the synthesis will fail. And gold, the synthesis success rate of entries has increased by more than 10 times compared with before the version update. The same is true for god level entries. Even the synthesis success rate of higher level super god level entries has increased by 5 times compared with before the version update. About times. Before, Yagami Ryosuke needed more than 800 times to synthesize a super god level entry. Now, it only takes more than 100 times. This is progress. As for the new supreme level entry, this success rate is indeed ridiculously low. Ryosuke Yagami glanced at the series of zeros after the decimal point, and only saw the poor one very far back. Well, this supreme level entry should be very popular, that's why the success rate is so low. Ryosuke Yagami comforted himself. This success rate is about 10,000 times lower than the success rate of the previous synthesis of super god level entries. In other words, with Ryosuke Yagami's current luck value, it is almost 8 times after more than 1 million synthesis times, a supreme talent entry can be successfully synthesized. The cost of one synthesis is 25 experience points. So assuming that the synthesis can be successful 8.5 million times, it will cost 212,250. It takes 100,000 experience points to synthesize a supreme level entry. Is it expensive? It's actually not expensive. Because upgrading a supreme level entry costs 10 billion. Now it's only more than 200 million, which is too expensive. And even if it is a relatively rubbish supreme level entry that is synthesized. But Yagami Ryosuke can break it down into 10 billion experience points after changing hands. This is a huge profit no matter how you calculate it. Read the cool novels and go to Feilu Novel Network. But the problem is, Ryosuke Yagami doesn't have more than 200 million experience points. Forget it, take your time, there will be supreme level entries, and there will be updates to version 5.0 as well. Version 4.0 was just updated today, don't worry. Yagami Ryosuke said heartily. Then he turned on the decomposition machine function. The decomposition machine function can decompose 100 points of biopheromone every day before the version upgrade. There is a 10% experience loss. This provides Yagami Ryosuke with ample experience point income. It is a major source of his experience point income. And now after the version upgrade, the number of biopheromones that the decomposer can decompose per day has been increased from the original 100 to 1000. And the decomposition loss has also been reduced to 5%. In this way, assume that Ryusuke Yagami can decompose 1000 copies of purple biopheromone every day. The experience value of each purple biopheromone is 1000 points, so under the condition of 5% loss, he can obtain 950 experience points. In this way, 1000 copies is equivalent to 950.000 experience points. Close to a million a day? Good guy. In this case, wouldn't it be possible to accumulate nearly 30 million experience points in a month? In just half a year, you can save more than 200 million experience points. Half a year seems to be pretty fast. Ryusuke Yagami muttered. He remembered that Orochimaru mentioned to him last time that he used the enhancement function of the chat group to enhance all his machines to add 10. Therefore, the efficiency of cloning is now improved. The consumption of materials has also been reduced a lot, and it can even be used to clone a clone, which is almost the same as the materials obtained from recycling a clone. What is this called? This is called earning the price difference without a middleman. Direct perpetual motion machine, that's it. 1000 ingredients can be used repeatedly without adding any more, and it can be used until death. It's simply unbelievable. However, with Orochimaru's current efficiency, there is no way to create 1000 shadow level ones in one day. The clones are coming. The maximum number is 300. But it's okay. It's just that the enhancement level of the machine is not enough. When the time comes, Ryusuke Yagami will go over and strengthen him personally, and enhance all those machines to add 20 level. That way. Let alone 1000 shadow level clones a day. Even 2000 would be no problem, right? Okay, I'll tell Orochimaru later, and I'll pay for it out of my own pocket to strengthen him. Ryusuke Yagami is very confident in his current luck. Just strengthen it by add 20. It's so simple. After seeing the improvement of the decomposer function, Ryusuke Yagami finally found the version after the update. The added function, entry conversion. As the name suggests, this function must be related to the talent entry. And it is not the conversion of the entry itself, but the conversion of the attributes of the entry. Ryusuke Yagami guessed. Sure enough. When he opened this new interface finally, Yagami Ryusuke discovered that he had guessed correctly. The function of this entry conversion is to convert an entry itself. For example, if you synthesize an entry you don't want, then you can convert this entry, put it on the entry converter and consume a certain amount of experience points. Come and convert this entry. The experience points consumed by the entry converter are based on the level of the entry itself. Ryusuke Yagami doesn't understand this. So satisfying. Because in this case, the higher the level of the entry, the more experience points will be consumed. Unlike the entry synthesis function, all are treated equally. And the experience points it consumes each time start from the golden entry. Well, yes, the entry converter can only convert talent entries with a minimum gold level. As for those below gold, sorry. It is a new function with status and does not serve these low-level entries.